Thanks, Carol. Good morning, everybody. We are technology, right? Okay, today, Sunday morning quiz. Matt slightly stole my thunder because he had a quiz as well. Should have warned me, or I should have warned him. Anyway, I'm going to play you a couple of notes from a famous song, and you've got to just kind of continue singing it, okay? It's not just shout out the name of the song, it's actually like carry it on, okay? So it's a sort of name that tune thing. So Luke, we've definitely got the sound on for the slides. Here we go. I'm going to change the slide. Get ready to sing out loud. It's going to suddenly stop and you're going to keep going. Here we go. Okay, I thought we might have to do that a couple of times because it wasn't very much. Excellent, absolutely brilliant. Yes, of course, very good, very good. Well, that went quickly. It is, of course, Mission Impossible. I just watched number 7 of the film franchise. Glamorous locations, big budget stunts, evil bad guys. Tom Cruise sprinting. He's always sprinting in his films. Anyway, the premise is that there's this like international problem, security problem. Some evil dude is going to blow up the world or whatever, and there's no one who can stop them. And so they turn to this black ops outfit, the IMF, to do the mission that no one else can. And these missions are pretty tough, hence IMF stands for the Impossible Missions Force. What a great name. But they've got quite a good track record because there's been 200 episodes in the series. There's been 6 movies, and every mission is a success. So I don't know that mission somewhat challenging is quite the name they're looking for, but that's probably a bit more accurate. Now, today at church is a big day. 2 of our young people, I can see Tammy. Where's Connor? He's in here. Oh, he's up the back. There he is. Yeah, fine. 2 of our young people, Connor's my own son, and they're publicly declaring their personal faith in Jesus by being baptized. And this baptism marks the start of a journey for Tammy and for Connor. It marks the end of an old way of life, lived with themselves at the center, and marks a new life centered on Jesus, living in his way, following his commands, making decisions and choices that show that Jesus is the most important thing in their lives. Not the only thing in their lives, but the most important thing, the thing that shapes all the other things in their lives. Now, living that way, especially as a young person at school, is really tough. Standing up and saying, this is how I want to be known. I want to be known as a follower of Jesus. That's how I want to organize my life. Doing that when the world around you thinks that that is weird or stupid or laughable can seem like mission impossible. Now, we've been working our way through Matthew's account, not that Matthew, the Matthew who wrote Matthew's gospel that we find in the Bible. And the last few weeks, we've been in a section where Jesus is talking to his 12 closest followers, what we call the 12 disciples, those the main 12, and giving them instructions to continue his mission of proclaiming good news to a broken world. And in it, we're going to see some encouragements. And these encouragements are also for you, Tammy, and you, Connor. And for all of us who follow Jesus. And there's some challenges in there for those of us who don't follow Jesus at the moment. And we're going to find that following Jesus in a world that is hostile to faith isn't mission impossible. It is, in fact, see if you can guess, it's mission possible. That's right. So that's what we're going to find. So I'm going to invite Lorna's going to come up and read the passage for us. If you've not got a Bible in front of you, you can find one on your phone, or you can look underneath the chair and you'll see those blue ones. I completely forgot to look up the page. 975. Look up page 975, and you look for the big number 10, the big bold number 10, and the little number 16, and that's where we're going to start. Creeps, over to you.
Thank you, Ian. Okay, so we're on page 975, and we're starting at verse 15.
No, that's 16 there.
Yeah, your slide says 15.
Oh, that was wrong. It's 16.
Dear. Just can't get the staff, can you?
No.
Okay, it's starting at verse 16.
16, definitely.
I'm sending you out like sheep among wolves. Therefore, be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves. Be on your guard. You will be handed over to the local councils and be flogged in the synagogues. On my account, you will be brought before governors and kings as witnesses to them and to the Gentiles. But when they arrest you, do not worry about what to say or how to say it. At that time, you will be given what to say. For it will not be you speaking, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. Brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child. Children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. You will be hated by everyone because of me, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. When you are persecuted in one place, flee to another. Truly I tell you, you will not finish going through the towns of Israel before the Son of Man comes. The student is not above the teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for students to be like their teachers, and servants like their masters. If the head of the house has been called Beelzebul, how much more the members of his household?
Thank you very much. Okay, so now, up till now in Matthew's account, Jesus has been proclaiming what Matthew calls the good news of the kingdom. This is the good news that God has entered his own creation in human form. Absolutely incredible. As a man called Jesus. And this stepping into creation is God's plan to restore our broken world. Now, the world is broken because of our failure to live as God intended, with him in charge, following his guidance for how life works best as he designed it. All the anger, sadness, shame, suffering that we see about us, and not just people problems, but the very fabric of the world, has been damaged by this rebellion. Natural disasters, disease, death, the whole natural order is decaying and falling apart because we've ignored God and lived as though we know how to rule our lives and our world best. And so God has entered his own creation to begin to put things right, which he promised to do right from the start. You can go back to the beginning of the Bible, Genesis, the very first book, and you can see God promising that he's going to come and he's going to start to put things right once more. And this is the good news that Jesus has been proclaiming and preaching and teaching, and it's this message that he's instructing these followers to continue to proclaim. So, you're going to need a Bible in front of you. If you've closed the Bible after you've done the reading, open it back up, page 975. Keep it in front of you so we can see what Jesus has to say. And today's part, the part we start at, verse 16, is the start of a new section. And right off the bat, we've got to tune in. Look at verse 16. I don't know, some of your Bibles might have the word behold or look before the word I. Now, that word isn't there in the English in some Bibles because it's a word we don't really have, but it's Jesus saying, listen up, pay attention, behold, look, concentrate. I don't know, something like that. It's a word we don't really have in English. But he's saying, listen up, there's something important I'm about to say something important, listen carefully. Now, Matt, last week tried to help us distinguish the ways that we should read and understand Jesus' commands here. This speech that Jesus gives was given to these 12 guys in their particular situation. And it's recorded here for us to learn from and observe, but the commands are not given directly to us. But we can learn from the principles that Jesus lays down. And throughout this section, Jesus tells us to prick up our ears, and he hints that some of what he says goes beyond just the 12 followers that he's speaking to, and we'll pick them out as we come to them. So what we're going to see is that Jesus has 3 principles, 3 reasons to keep going, to continue Jesus' mission possible, to proclaim good news in a hostile world. And he's warning these 12 followers, and he warns you, Tammy, you, Connor, that following him is going to be hard, and it's going to be unpopular. But it's not mission impossible. It is mission impossible. And so here are your instructions. Should you choose to accept them? Yeah, I thought you might go for that. No, not really. Okay, fine. Okay, number 1, verse 16 to 18. Don't worry about what you will face. Here's the first thing that Jesus says, the first principle. Now, when anyone says, don't worry, what's the first thing you do when you weren't worried before? Right, exactly. You're like, don't worry. And you're like, why? Why? So there must be something to worry about. And this is where Jesus starts. Look at verse 16. He says this. He's sending these guys out like sheep among wolves. Now, these sheep obviously are sort of defenseless creatures without really any natural or physical kind of abilities. Really, they can kind of run away, but they're not even very good at that. And they're not the cleverest. And Jesus is saying, that is what you guys are, you 12. You are defenseless, helpless, dim-witted, weak sheep. And worse than that, I'm sending you out among wolves, powerful, intelligent predators that feast upon sheep. And it's not like, he doesn't say we're going to send you into the wolves. He's saying the wolves are everywhere. They're among you already. You're already surrounded. They're surrounded by these wolves. And so these first followers are in this hostile environment, defenseless, weak as sheep, with fearsome predators all around. And that is reason to worry. And so Jesus needs to encourage them. But keep reading. Let's go, verse 17. What's going to happen to these poor sheep among the wolves? Well, they're going to be handed over to the local councils and flogged in the synagogues here. Now, the local councils or council here is talking about the non-religious bodies alongside synagogues, the kind of religious bodies. And so Jesus is saying, yeah, the religious authorities in the synagogues, they're not going to like you, but neither are the non-religious ones. It's going to go the whole way. Everybody's going to be against you. And this is probably the first hint that Jesus' instructions aren't just to the 12 guys that he's speaking to, because it's unlikely that many of those 12 guys will go on to face opposition from local councils. Most of the opposition that they face, as we read the accounts in the Bible, are from these local synagogues. And so this is Jesus' first hint. We need to prick up our ears. He's talking beyond just these 12. He's talking to the followers that will come after that. There's going to be others who are involved and will spread things further and face different types of opposition. So those of us who follow Jesus now have to prick up our ears. These principles carry on down to us. Let's keep reading. Verse 18, on my account, you'll be brought before governors and kings as witnesses to them and to Gentiles. Governors here talking about the kind of Roman occupying authorities in the land, but kings thinking wider than that, thinking broader than that, thinking above that. And now we have this reference to the Gentiles, that is non-Jewish followers. And again, all that is pointing to a mission that extends beyond these 12 people and this Jewish region that they're in. So that is quite a lot to be worried about. There's going to be a lot of opposition. It's going to be from the east. It's going to be from the west. It's going to be from the Gentiles. It's going to be from the Jews. It's going to be from the rulers. It's going to be from the kings. It's going to be everywhere. And then Jesus is saying, don't worry. So how does he tell them not to worry? What does he say? Well, let's look at verse 16 again. Go back up to verse 16. First words out of Jesus' mouth after the listen up bit, which may or may not be in your Bible, is, I am sending you. This is part of the plan. Jesus knows that they are weak, defenseless, dim-witted sheep. And he knows that they are among wolves. He knows the opposition they'll face, but he's sending them into that. This isn't like a kamikaze charge of the Light Brigade, Thelma and Louise off the Grand Canyon. It is planned, expected, anticipated, and overseen by Jesus. I came across a quote this week and I thought it was perfect for this. Look at this. There is no panic in heaven. God has no problems, only plans. It's not caught him by surprise. This situation is not a mistake. He's deliberately sending these guys. So the specifics here of what they're going to face, the governors, the kings, this and that, synagogues, floggings, whatever, is different for us, right? I don't know if any of you have been flogged in a synagogue or brought before a king. I know that I haven't on Jesus' account, or for any other matter. But let's think about the principle. And the principle is that Jesus is saying, don't worry about what you will face as you follow me. And I think there's no doubt that we Christians are still in a kind of hostile environment, a different kind of hostility to what's being described here for the 12, but we're in a hostile environment. It wasn't long ago that Christianity was held with, I suppose, some measure of respect in the UK, and broadly, Christianity was a sort of positive thing to be associated with, even if it was like irrelevant and outdated and whatever else. But there's a definite shift. It is increasingly challenging to hold Christian views on a range of topics. And so I think there's no doubt that we too are sheep among wolves. And I'm thinking particularly for you guys, Tammy and for Connor, at school. The way we think about things as Christians bumps up against the way that non-Christians think about things. Our view that there is a God who has created us, that he has designed the world to work in a certain way, and that he has the right to tell us how to live as his creation, that is wildly unpopular and will only become increasingly so. But Jesus is sending both of you and all his followers out like sheep among wolves. But he is sending you. It's no accident that he's placed you where you are, in your school, with the friends you have, with the skills and the character that you particularly have. He wants to use you to share that good news by the way that you live, by the way that you speak, by the way that you act, how you treat your friends, how you use your time, how you prioritize gathering with God's people at church, how you use your money, how you plan your career, your family priorities, all those different things. He sent you. So be encouraged as you two go back to school this week, and for others of us who are in work or whatever it is you're going to do this week, go in the knowledge that Jesus has sent you, and he knows what you will face. He knows that situation is tough if you're in a tough situation. It's not a mistake. God has no plans. No problems. Only plans. Oh, man. It's annoying to get that wrong, isn't it? Okay. Don't worry about what you'll face. Number 2, verse 18 to 20. Let's keep going. Don't worry about what you'll say. Now, this time Jesus specifically says not to worry, which again begs the question, well, Jesus, what is there to worry about? Well, we've seen some of that already. These 12 followers are going to be in these hostile waters, and that hostility is going to go from bottom to top, right up to rulers and kings, right from local to national, right from Jews to Gentiles. Everybody's going to be involved. It's going to be a lot of hostility. And they are being specifically brought before dignitaries. Look at this, verse 18. It says this, as witnesses to him, or as his witnesses. This is not just, they don't just have to kind of like quietly live out Jesus' ethical plans for like holy living in their, as they go about their business. No, they're actually going to be directly brought to speak this good news boldly to those in power. Now, that definitely is something to worry about for these guys. A hostile court, powerful king, standing before them, one of these 12 ordinary guys. And remember, these are completely average Joes. Fishermen, tax collectors, probably poorly educated, certainly lacking refinement, probably a thick regional accent. They don't fit in high society at all, but that is where they've been sent. Jesus said, I'm sending you to the elites. I'm sending you to high society. But don't worry about what you'll say. And notice too in verse 19, look at it there, he says this, when they arrest you, it's not going to be a friendly reception. The kings and the councils are not going to be happy to see them. They're going to arrest you. It's a guarantee. It's when, it's not if. But again, Jesus knows it's coming. Remember, no problems, just plans. But at that time, Jesus promises that they will be supernaturally gifted in what to say and how to say it, such that the mission won't fall apart because of their ineptitude or fear or lack of education. God will ensure that his mission continues. Now, this, I think, is one of the parts where I don't think we can just take exactly what the Bible says for our own. I know in my own attempts to share my faith that it most certainly is not eloquent. I've never been before kings or governors, but I know that it can still provoke fear, speaking about something that is so personal to you, when you worry people might think it is foolish or weird or unpopular or whatever. And I wish that in those situations God had given me something to say. I wish that he would just speak through me rather than me speaking about him, but that isn't my experience. Now, maybe some of you have experienced that, and I do know of stories of people who felt supernaturally able to share in ways that they weren't prepared for. But I don't think we should expect that to happen. It may happen, and that would be fantastic if it does, but I don't think that's what we should expect. This promises for that 12. But there's a principle here, and like those 12, we, Christians, have a message to share. I've been talking about it this morning. One of the key things about Christianity is that God is not distant from us, but close. At Christmas, we think about God entering, stepping into his creation to live in human form. God with us, Emmanuel. God comes close. And it's God's promise that as we follow him, God indwells us, joins with us, lives inside us by his Spirit. It can be hard to sort of contemplate what that means if you don't follow Jesus. What? God lives inside you. What does that even mean? But that is the promise. God will indwell you. You're never alone. God is always present, working inside those of us who are followers of Jesus. I remember my grandfather, he was a Christian most of his life, lived a good long life, strong follower of God. And I remember we were talking about God being with us. I'd probably be not far off Connor's age. And I can really picture it. He looked right at me and he said, Ian, Jesus is as real to me as you standing there. That sense, total sense of God's presence and power within him. It's so real and so true. And the longer he'd been a follower of Jesus, the more that had become true for him. And the Holy Spirit lives to help and to guide us as we follow Jesus, and can bring to mind things that you've studied, things that you've heard, talks, maybe something that we talk about at the front here actually sticks one time and comes out at a useful point. And I can certainly testify to that in my own faltering attempts to share my hope in Jesus. So, Tammy, Connor, don't worry about what you'll say. You've got God's Holy Spirit living inside you who can help you in these situations. So, 1 and 2 so far. Don't worry about what you'll face. Don't worry about what you'll say. And finally, and this is the most important one, don't worry, you will be saved. Verse 21, 25. It's in this last section that Jesus really doesn't sugarcoat it. Have I got the wrong numbers there? No, it's okay. Sorry, I thought I heard a wee murmur there, and I thought I've maybe put the wrong numbers on the slide again. Although being arrested by powerful kings is scary, what he outlines here is even worse. Have a look at it, verse 21. Brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child. Children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. Look at the pattern. The opposition goes right to the top, kings, governors, but also right to the bottom. Your very family ties, your closest relationships can be affected. There is no part of life that isn't affected by living for Jesus. It shows just how deep that commitment needs to be and how radical the change in life is when you become a follower of Jesus. It's not something you do on a Sunday. Jesus says elsewhere that your commitment to following him should be so deep, so powerful, that the way that you love your family should look like hate in comparison. That's tough. It's tough words. But I know for some in this church, I know there's some people here this morning for whom that is literally true, that following Jesus has cost you relationships with your family. Perhaps not death or betrayal, but certainly hatred. And of course, that is tragically sad, but Jesus is saying that is what it will cost some of us to follow Jesus. Thank the Lord, that's not been my experience. But I know for some of you that is. But Jesus says that's what some of us should expect as we follow him. That will be the cost. But nestled in there, verse 22, you're definitely going to want to look at this one. Verse 22, you will be hated by everyone because of me, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. Things will be hard. Opposition will be wide. It will be high. It will be deep. It will be painful. But you will be saved. Now, how that salvation is going to come about, we'll find out as we stick with Matthew's account of Jesus' life. And you'll know the story, I'm sure, most of you. Opposition grows so strong to Jesus and his teaching that eventually he's rounded up, beaten, falsely accused, betrayed, and murdered in a public and inhumane way. And Jesus warns the 12 that this is what's to come for them, verse 24 and 25. If that's how they treat the master, how do you think they're going to treat the servants? If they hate the teacher, what do you think they'll think of the students? If they call the leader the prince of demons, Beelzebul, what do you reckon they're going to call the followers? And this is where it isn't like Mission Impossible, because in those films, you've got the shadowy voice on the self-destructing smoking tape recorder. And they always say, if you're caught, we will disavow all knowledge of you. You're on your own. But that's not Jesus' style. He's not some kind of armchair tactician, not a general directing from afar. He has lived through this opposition himself, right up to the point of his brutal death. But it's not the end of the story. Jesus rose back to life, really, bodily, actually rose back to life. His death paying the price for our failures and rebellion against God, and his resurrection, the start of this promise, restoration. He is the first, restored to life, never to die again, the start of things being put right. This is it happening. God is restoring, God is putting things right. And like the master, this is the promise to the students. If you stand firm, you will be saved. Now, I know there'll be folks here, as there are every week, who don't know Jesus. Well, let me ask you to think carefully about this. If you're in church, chances are you're probably not like openly antagonistic towards Christians. You know, we're misguided, we're naive, but we're basically harmless if we keep ourselves to ourselves. But you don't see yourself as I'm not a wolf, I'm not like in opposition to these guys. Well, that might be what you think now, but there is going to come a day where there are only two options. You are either with Jesus as his follower, or you're not, and there will not be a middle ground. The Bible puts it like this: God has set a day when he will judge the world with justice by the man he has appointed, Jesus. And he's given proof of this to everyone by raising him from the dead. How do you know that this is going to happen? How do you know that God is going to judge the world with justice? He raised Jesus from the dead. That's how you know it's going to happen. It's a dead cert. It's coming. And if you think you'll be okay on that day of judgment, on what basis do you think that? Jesus himself says it's those who follow him, who stand firm to the end, who follow him wherever it leads, whatever it costs. It'll be them that's saved. Just as Jesus was raised to life and death couldn't hold him, couldn't defeat him, that's what awaits those of us who stand firm. Death finally defeated. Death's not the end of the story for Jesus' followers. His death and resurrection, historical fact, not made up stories, that started that restoration. God gradually bringing the world toward the day when all wrongs will be put right, when all suffering and pain will end, and the world will be restored as it should be. Think of what that's like. Think of all the failures in your own life. Think of all that you wish the world would be. Think of all that you wish you could be, and all that you wish other people were, and all the mistakes that you've made, and all the wrongs that have been done to you, undone, put right, organized in such a way that we can see that this was part of God's plan the whole way. It's impossible to imagine how that could be. You think of the suffering in your own life. How can God put that right? He will. He promises he will. And he's given proof of this by raising Jesus from the dead. You need to know Jesus, and if you know him, you need to stand firm to the end. So what Jesus is calling us, Tammy, Connor, calling us to, is not mission impossible. And it's not even mission possible. What is it? It's mission guaranteed. That's right. Jesus is sending us. He's got no problems, only plans. Even death couldn't stop that mission advancing. And Tammy and Connor, you are a part of that now. So don't worry about what you'll face. Following Jesus is going to be tough. But he's got no problems, only plans. Don't worry about what you'll say. God is with you by his Spirit. And stand firm because you will be saved. Jesus has done it. And that's what you're demonstrating today in your baptisms, and may God bless you both richly and powerfully as you take this step of faith in him. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian, for that reminder. We're just going to respond by singing this song together. And thinking of that, this power that we get from Jesus, it's not through us, but it's through Jesus in those tough things. So let's stand and let's sing, Yet Not I, but through Christ in me.
What gift of grace is Jesus my Redeemer? There is no more for heaven now to give. He is my joy, my righteousness and freedom, my steadfast love, my deep and boundless peace. To this I hold, my hope is only Jesus. For my life is wholly bound to His. Oh, how strange and divine, I can sing all is mine, yet not I, but through Christ in me. The night is dark, but I am not forsaken. For by my side, the Savior, He will stay. I labor on in weakness and rejoicing. For in my need, His power is displayed. To this I hold, my shepherd will defend. Through the deepest valley He will lead. Oh, the night has been won, and I shall overcome, yet not I, but through Christ in me. No fate I dread, no fate I dread, I know I am forgiven. The future sure, the price it has been paid. For Jesus bled and suffered for my part, and He was raised to overthrow the grave. To this I hold, my sin has been defeated. Jesus now and ever is my queen. Oh, the chains are released, I can sing, I am free, yet not I, but through Christ in me. With every breath I long to follow Jesus, for He has said that He will bring me home, and day by day I know He will renew me, until I stand with joy before the throne. To this I hold, my hope is only Jesus. All the glory evermore to Him. When the race is complete, still my lips shall repeat, yet not I, but through Christ in me.
Amen. Take a seat.
Thank you, Ian. Okay, we're going to have time for just one Q&R, one question and response. So choose wisely. Go on to Slido and you can do that. Just before that happens, can I ask any parents and carers with babies and toddlers in creche to go and scoop them up just now? Children in Hope City Kids classes, they're going to come in at a separate time and be arranged at the front beautifully, so don't stress about them. Ian, up you come. Where are you? Sorry. Okay. So, top question. Is that the top question?
It's coming, it's coming.
There you go. Brilliant. Ian,
How did I meet Jesus?
how did you meet Jesus?
I had the great privilege of growing up in a Christian home, which meant I was exposed to the teachings of Jesus and church from an early age, and so I was able to hear it there. But I think I would be probably in my teenage years when I think I thought that I was living for Jesus, thought I knew what that meant, which meant basically turn up on a Sunday, sing the songs, and go home and live how I like the rest of the week. And I gradually came to realize that that is not right. I remember there's a part in the Bible where the Apostle Paul, who's like a mega Christian, says, I am the worst of all sinners. That's what he says about himself. And I remember reading that thinking, this guy's like the superstar Christian. How can he think he's the worst of all Christians? And I think it was right at that moment that God heard me say that and started to point out that I'm the worst of all sinners. Like my arrogance and my lack of care and compassion for other people. And I realized that I was in need of a savior. And I thought I was a good guy. And I thought I could play by the rules and make it my own way, but I couldn't. And I needed Jesus. And that's when I came to faith. And it's not been a straight shoot since then, but I've been walking with Jesus since then through good times and bad. And he is faithful. So that's how I met him.
Thank you. That's that.
Is
just
that it?
Before you go.
Just
yeah.
one?
Yeah, just one. Wait.
Easy.
No, don't go yet. Come back. Just before you go, what is the reminder from today?
Following Jesus is not even mission possible. It is mission guaranteed.
Thank you.